there's a common misconception that if you're a freestyler, you're going to be able to smack a ball top bins, you're going to be able to hit a crossbar from 40 yards, like, and it doesn't work like that. I'm Frankie.
I'm Mo.
And we are going to answer some of your questions about freestyle football. What are the things that you get asked the most when people see you freestyling?
Can you do this on a pitch? Most basic one.
Yeah. Can you play football? Can you, can you...
Rainy night in Stoke.
Yeah, well, get that all the time. People coming in there like, probably the thing that I hear the most when I'm performing or when I'm doing tricks in front of people is, have it, because
Just
no one...
British thing.
Yeah, and no one, it seems like, and this isn't always the case, but there's always someone there who doesn't want you to do well. Exactly. And see you doing it and they're like, oh yeah, I could do that. Hold my beer. Yeah, it's funny because you just get loads of different reactions, and like most of the time it is positive. The one thing we were talking about before is how do freestyle moves or tricks, whatever you want to call them, how do moves get their names?
Yeah.
I'm guessing it just comes from online, doesn't it? It comes from whoever created that trick, whoever did the move first.
That's what you'd think, to be honest.
Yeah.
But like, it's so complicated. If the name isn't put out there that much, people might have like done the trick and then think, oh, that's my move now, I'm gonna name it this.
If you come out with a move and you try and claim it, if the community is behind you, then everyone will just generally accept it, and then that will become the name that is accepted for that move.
Yeah.
But then it's almost like freestyle's almost got its own language, hasn't it?
Exactly. Yeah.
So like if I came to someone off the street and said, can you do an alt homie Mitch Scala no touch, they would have no idea what I'm talking about. All these new terms are coming out and it's so specific to the people who know about freestyle. Then even as big as freestyle is, when you talk about it to other people, a lot of the time they just have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. I'm sure people have seen a double around the world and they just think it's called a double around the world, but they wouldn't know it's called a lemons if they've never followed any freestyle. Exactly. They wouldn't know a triple's called a palais. But these are things that you get from freestyling and kind of being part of the community. So who are the freestylers that you kind of looked up to when you first started training?
When I first started, I started off with Panna. I knew that there was freestylers who could do like Panna as well. So like they started playing Panna and they went into freestyle. And one of the main people was like Sufian Bangkok, Ilias Tuba, all those guys. I looked at them and I was like, I want to learn that. So like practice like block moves like in between your legs and stuff. And it's got to the point now where I'm like doing more freestyle than I am doing Panna.
When I started freestyling, I got a lot of my influence from professional footballers or famous footballers who could do freestyle moves. They weren't what you would now define as a freestyler, but someone like Ronaldinho, who was a very skillful player on the pitch, but then off the pitch he could do all these tricks as well. And I saw him and I watched him in adverts and I thought, I want to be able to do that. It came from playing football first and then getting into freestyle. And I find that if you've played football first and you go from playing football into freestyling, it can be difficult for you to adapt and to learn certain types of moves because you're used to controlling the ball, you're used to moving with the ball in a different way. So maybe you're used to controlling the ball, or even the way that you do kick-ups or juggling the ball would be done with a different part of your foot, and you'd be focusing on it differently. The way that you transfer the weight through your body into the ball would be different from someone who just started freestyling without being into playing football first.
I don't know about that. I think that it would be harder to not play football and go into freestyle, because it's like you literally have to learn the very, 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 very basics. A kick-up. Because you wouldn't even know anything because you wouldn't have played football. Like people in football, everyone can do kick-ups. What? Yeah. Like if you play football, you most likely can do kick-ups. Yeah. But like if you're going straight into freestyle, I'd feel as if you wouldn't have brought that same motivation that you had. Like if you played football. Yeah.
Being a good freestyler, does that make you a good footballer?
No. Not at all.
No, definitely not.
It's literally, it's basically a different sport is what I say to people. There's so many other sports out there that like use similar things but complete different sport, you know what I mean? Like basketball, you're pretty much using the same, like you're using the same shape as a football, but you're just you're bouncing the ball around with your hands, which you can't do in football. With football, of course, you have to be with a team, so you can't carry your team in a way if no one like was good at all. But with freestyle, it's like you do everything yourself. Yeah. So like if you want to train, you can train. If you can go wherever you like with the ball, you can train there. So it's like what everyone always says is like all you need is a ball. But like that doesn't necessarily work with football. There's
a common misconception that if you're a freestyler, you're going to be able to smack a ball top bins, you're going to be able to hit a crossbar from 40 yards, and it doesn't work like that. You know, I think there are some football influencers who have come from a football background and have got a technically really high level when it comes to striking a ball, or the accuracy of their shots is really good and the power as well. And like, you know, I think as a freestyler, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be able to do that. I mean, if you've come from a football background, you've played football to a very high level, it's more likely you'll be able to do these things. But I think as a general rule, if you're a freestyler, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to hit a ball in the top corner every time, or that you're going to be able to hit a crossbar, you know, at will. You know, that's just something that is a product of social media, and you know, it's very entertaining, but that's not freestyle. So as a freestyler, when you're starting out, obviously it's a hobby more than anything, and it's something that you enjoy. But then for a lot of freestylers that I know, it's become more than a hobby, it's become a job, and it's become a way to see the world. So, I mean, I know that we're quite lucky in that we've been to a lot of different places freestyling. I know that you've had some amazing experiences as well, right?
You can take freestyle anywhere you like. You can either work very, very hard to become like one of the best, or write yourself down as a legend, or you can go into the side of making money, if you know what I mean. You can do shows, you can go on commercials, you can do all those stuff. And it's very, very hard to balance both of them. So like you have to kind of drag yourself to one side or the other.
So I feel like there are some freestylers in the community who have managed to do that somehow, who have managed to still become like, you know, these pioneers of freestyle who are right at the top of their game, but also doing it as a job and kind of leading the way in a business sense as well. So, you know, there are some names that spring to mind.
Exactly. Andrew Henderson, Tazani, they're just two people that I know of. I think everyone else has either done freestyle like really hard and then gone on to the other side, or even that could work the other way. Is like you start off freestyle to make money, and then you kind of found it as a passion and just carried on doing it.
Often you find that freestylers are the types of people who end up being very talented, not just because they can do freestyle, but you find a lot of multi-talented freestylers as well. Someone like Daniel Got Hits, as he's known online, Daniel Dennehy is how I know him. But he's come out with a lot of music and he does a lot of rapping and he's become an influencer. What do you make of like freestylers starting out in freestyle and then taking it somewhere else?
He still does freestyle, puts out some content, but like he wants to, obviously, like every freestyler sees him as a freestyler, but the rest of the world don't, if you know what I mean. They look at him as an influencer or a rapper, and he still is true to himself, I think, and does still wants to make himself known as a freestyler.
I hope that's answered some of your questions about freestyle football. If you want to see more of this kind of video, or if you want to see some of the tricks that we've got, you can click here, and don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to ProDirect Soccer for more.